All right, good morning. Good answer. We're just very thrilled and privileged to be here with you. It's just so great to be able to discuss all about exercise. So we'd like to start with a quick poll. We're going to look for a show of hands here. How many of you find it more difficult to stay active when the snow starts to fall? Please raise your hand if that's true for you. So if you look around and see the raised hands, you'll recognize that you are not alone. Winter brings cold weather, shorter days, snow, icy conditions. All of these seasonal changes can present significant challenges to staying physically active.
So exercise is essential for our overall health, and it plays a particularly crucial role for those managing Parkinson's disease, where staying active and performing structured exercise can make a significant difference. So today we'll explore the concept of exercise as medicine and discuss some strategies to keep us moving through the winter months, since they will soon be upon us. So the main components, which you may have already seen because you have a handout there on your table. The current exercise recommendations for people living with Parkinson's include aerobic activity, strength training, balance, agility, and multitasking, and stretching for flexibility. So we'll focus our time today on two major components, aerobic activity and strength training, discussing the what, the why, and the how of each one.
So let's start with aerobic activity. What do we mean by aerobic exercise? This is the integration of three physiological systems in your body. The muscular system, which is working, so it's demanding energy and air or oxygen in order to get the work done. The respiratory system to attain that oxygen to fuel the work. And the circulatory system, your heart and all the vessels, in order to deliver that oxygen to the working muscles. So when we engage in moderate to vigorous physical activity for a prolonged period, meaning not sprinting out of the room, but rather, sort of a consistent brisk walk for 10 to 30 minutes, when we find ourselves getting a little bit hot and breathy and sweaty, our aerobic system has kicked in to keep us going.
So why do aerobic exercise? So aerobic activity is important for everyone. And are you ready for this list? It helps to improve muscle endurance, bone health, coordination, cognition, mood, sleep, digestion, blood sugars, and it reduces the risk of stroke, heart attack, cardiovascular issues, and a number of chronic diseases. But especially for those with Parkinson's, aerobic exercise helps to provide the energy and endurance to persist with a full day of tasks. So the working muscles involved are also the ones that maintain posture and help to provide stability, which can help to reduce our risk of falls. A recent study in 2022 examined how aerobic exercise affects people with Parkinson's, specifically looking at its impact on key brain areas involved in movement. So participants who performed structured aerobic exercise for 6 months, and that looked like 3 times a week, 30 to 45 minutes on a stationary bike at home at a prescribed intensity. And Dave's going to be talking about intensity here shortly. But they showed improved neural connections in the brain that aid in movement, and they improved their cognitive control. They also experienced less total brain shrinkage compared to the other group in the study who only performed stretching. So overall, the results suggest that aerobic exercise can help slow down brain changes related to Parkinson's disease and boost mental performance.
So I just want to emphasize that just doing aerobic exercise actually improved neural connections within the brain. That's a big deal, right? So that's why we say exercise is medicine. So what about the how then? We're all at different levels. We can't all do the same thing. How do we know what to do? Well, we can experience health benefits at any fitness level by committing to regular bouts of, again, for whatever for us is moderate to vigorous aerobic activity. So monitoring your heart rate is one way to gauge the exercise intensity. But less cumbersome than that is using RPE, or the rate of perceived exertion. And that simply means noticing how hard we're working while exercising. RPE is a valid tool to measure your exercise intensity, and it actually correlates closely with your heart rate level. So, get the slide there. So on the RPE scale from 1 to 10, where 1's very, very light activity, like akin to what you're doing right now, just sitting up and paying attention to us, hopefully, or 10, which would be rushing out of the building right now if the fire alarms were blaring, right? So the recommendation is to aim for something in the mid-range, 4 to 7, where we're breathing somewhat heavily, but we're able to hold a short conversation without gasping for air.
But what type of activities are classified as aerobic? Certainly when we hear aerobic or cardio, we naturally think of brisk walking, jogging, cycling, swimming, or an aerobics class. Or we may think of soccer players, tennis stars, or marathon runners. However, aerobic workouts can also be accomplished during daily activities. So performing household chores with sufficient effort, like carrying multiple baskets of laundry, going up and down the stairs, or doing yard work, it could be an aerobic workout. So our emphasis here is to do whatever is safe, tolerable, needful, and fun.
So during the winter, weather conditions make outdoor aerobic activities less accessible for most of us. So turning to indoor activities can be an effective strategy to help keep active during those colder months. As suggested by researchers at University of Guelph, just down the road, we should look to embrace the seasonal change and shift from our physical activity patterns. For example, instead of your typical spring cleaning around the house, maybe you're going to shift it to winter cleaning. You could try dancing around the house when nobody's looking, or participating in online fitness classes from the comfort of your own living room. Outside of the home, walking at the nearby arena, shopping mall, community center, or enjoying varied opportunities at your local Y or gym, like on a track, cardio machines, going to the pool, taking a class. All of these can keep the heart pumping and optimize your health throughout those cold months. Wherever possible, we encourage weight-bearing activities that also challenge balance, posture, and coordination to prepare us for the outings when we get into the snow and the blow.
All right. So the Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines recommends 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity each week. But it's important to work up at that goal. So if you're just starting out, begin your cardio routine at a level that feels comfortable for you. So that just might mean a few minutes at a time for a few days a week. You want to keep in mind that every minute counts. And getting started, it's probably going to feel tough and hard. But as you continue, you will notice improvements in your endurance and your energy levels. And you'll likely be able to handle some form of aerobic activity almost every day. And over time, you want to build up to extending your sessions so that you can manage 30 minutes at a time without feeling overly fatigued or breathless.
All right, so equally important to moderate to vigorous activity, which sounds daunting, is reducing sedentary behavior and incorporating just light physical activity throughout your day. Prolonged sitting increases the risk of many chronic diseases. You might have heard that sitting is the new smoking. So to combat those risks, it's recommended to break up long periods of sitting by standing, stretching, walking every 30 minutes or so. At the end of our discussion, we're going to demonstrate a movement break that shows how you can easily integrate just 10 minutes of light activity into your daily routine, helping to maintain mobility and promote long-term health benefits.
Okay. So we've covered aerobic activity. So let's shift our focus now to strength training. So what is it? Anytime we activate our muscles to lift, push, pull, hold an object, we are performing a muscle strengthening activity. So training our muscles to work under loads is crucial for daily tasks and optimizing independence. So why strength training? Why strength train? So after we stop growing, by the time we are in our 20s, we are already potentially on the decline. So there is a normal degree of muscle wasting over time as we age, but regular bouts of strength training can limit that decline and help us to build strength. So add to that scenario a neurological condition such as Parkinson's, and the need is even greater to keep muscles at a functional level of strength to sustain independence and prevent physical decline. So done correctly, strength training can improve posture, balance, breathing, voice volume, core strength, coordination, and agility.
So let's turn to the how, and I'm going to get Crystal to demonstrate a few things for you here. So some athletes lift extremely high weights for just a few repetitions. Think of a football player training. So they're focusing on building significant muscle bulk or power. That is not what we're talking about here today. The recommendation is to include a strength training program in our routine 2 or 3 times a week, non-consecutive days. You have that 1 or 2 days off because it has a direct spillover effect in our everyday chores and activities. The focus should be on challenging the major muscle groups of the upper and lower body. And on the slides here, you're going to see just a couple of examples of each major muscle group. To get started with strength training, try performing 6 to 8 exercises max, and we'll go through a few of those right now. So for instance, if you're working your legs, you could do what we call a sit to stand, just getting into your chair, getting back up. Now you could put a pillow under there if it's too low. You can use the armrest, but just doing a sit to stand if that's available to you. If it's not, simply seated and doing leg extensions, straightening the knee out, working those thigh muscles, whether you're getting up or down or not. Then there's the back. So for the back, we could be doing a wall angel for our upper back, pulling those shoulder blades back, working on those postural muscles between the wing bones. Or for lower back, we might do something called a lean back, where you're simply seated, keeping that erect posture, leaning back, going just a little off kilter. So you have to turn on those abs and all those muscles that kind of control your core. Then we've got the chest. Oh. Like a magic trick.
We like their props.
Where did that come from? So a chest press. If you don't want to lie down and be pumping iron, you could simply use a TheraBand, any kind of stretchy band. Find something that's the right tension for you. Press it forward, bring it back. That's going to work all those muscles in the front. And then there's the push-up. And people think of push-ups only as, being down on the floor and on your tiptoes. But you could do a push-up against a wall with not too much effort, or against a chair, as long as it's not going to slide out of the way. The lower you go, the harder. So you can be as upright as you wish, just leaning against a wall. That's one way to work the chest muscles. Shoulders. You could do something as simple as a shoulder extension, pulling back. If that band was attached to something, like me, and you're pulling back that way, or doing any assortment of shoulder movements up and out, then you're going to keep those shoulders strong. Or external rotation. Keeping those elbows in and pulling wide, so important for that rotator cuff. Who hasn't had a rotator cuff issue in the past? Yes. And for arms, bicep curls, whether you have a TheraBand, you can step on it and curl up, or use a water bottle or whatever you have at home just to get that exercise done. Or for working triceps, holding the band up high and pressing it down to work through the arms. And then lastly, the core. The core is so, so important for that stability when we're walking or just even leaning over doing anything. So a hip bridge we won't show you. We're not going to lie on the floor and do that. But for a plank, to simply hold yourself like you're a stiff plank of wood, not letting that butt fall in, but holding that position. Again, you could be up higher or down lower. Any position, any angle that's available to you, holding that for a good 10 seconds or more. And did you notice that all of these can be performed with minimal equipment? Let's give Crystal a hand. Way to go, Crystal. Right, so going to the gym is helpful, but in those winter months, you can get a workout with a few household items and with a bit of commitment. We suggest that you use a weight or resistance that feels like an effort, that is acceptable muscle fatigue, after about 10 to 15 repetitions, meaning when you get to 10 or 12 or 15, it should feel harder than it did with 1 or 2, right? Then you're probably at the right level.
Do you want to go over here?
Sure.
Okay, now we get to watch Dave move around. So we strongly emphasize function in our programs. So functional training, meaning exercise that directly correspond to our regular daily tasks, should be included in our routine. So some examples include practicing getting up from a chair, like those sit-to-stands, yes. Actions involved with snow removal from a walkway or cleaning off the car. Carrying loads like laundry, groceries, or dishes. Practicing stepping up and over and sideways. So as we strive to train ourselves for both aerobic stamina and strength, it's important to pay attention to the timing of your workouts. So schedule your exercise to align with your medication timetable and aim to work out when your Parkinson's medications are at their peak effectiveness. We also advise to warm up before any workout or getting ready for any kind of heavy work like snow shoveling. So gentle, dynamic movement is important to prepare muscles and lubricate joints pre-workout. And also slow, static stretches after activity can reduce the onset of muscle soreness later. Good job, Dave.
I had the easy part there. So some final tips and tricks to help us stay active, especially during the winter. These would include use the buddy system. Find a friend to join you in person or remotely for an added social connection and for accountability. Keep a routine. Mark your workouts in your calendar like any other appointment. I do that to make sure I know at this time on this day I'm going to be doing some movement. Keep a journal to measure successes and to monitor issues and note how you're feeling after each workout. Consult an exercise professional, physiotherapist, kinesiologist, personal trainer, who might prescribe and then adapt the exercise routine as needed. Try something new. Keep it fresh. Make it fun. And then get outside when you can. When you get outside, some things to consider include dressing for the weather, obviously, especially if PD has made you more sensitive to hot or cold environments. And then watch your step, being mindful of icy conditions, especially if you're experiencing reduced mobility, altered gait, neuropathy, or postural issues. Final thoughts. Most of us are more active through the warmer season, and research shows that when physical activity decreases or stops during winter, this new habit can develop into a permanent sedentary lifestyle. So the reduction in the winter can then carry on into the spring and summer if we're not careful.
So our hope today is to encourage you to start thinking ahead for the winter so that that doesn't happen to you. So on the table, we've provided you, so on one side are the exercise recommendations, but if you turn to the other side, you'll see that there is a little action plan activity sheet there for you. So it's a tool there for you, and we encourage you to do it, to start thinking ahead about winter and how you can keep moving. We asked some of our friends living with Parkinson's for some of their strategies during the winter, and here's what they shared with us.
Weather permitting, I will still go for walks where I can. I will also do virtual classes at the Y.
My biggest challenge is walking the rural areas. However, the township of Wellesley has a brand new walking track. I will get a membership there.
I'll keep going to Rock Steady Boxing. Oh, there's a shameless plug for us. And have a punch bag at home to do some exercises. I have a walking area in the basement, so it keeps me going.
I run and I bike in the winter. If the roads get too icy, I stay indoors and ride my stationary bike. These are all great ideas. So with that, we are going to do a very short movement break, okay? But we have been sitting for a long time, right? And the recommendation is to move, every 30 minutes. And we want to break up that sitting. we would encourage you just to join as you feel comfortable. You know, it's okay if you just want to sit and watch or if you want to go do a bathroom break. We are going to demonstrate standing and seated options so that you can choose what works best for you today and your balance control. All right? Are we ready to go? Yeah.